My first vote in school was Bush Gore, the first one, or what? Yeah, I think. I don't know, because I voted for Al Gore, and very disappointing to my father. I had no idea who either of them were. I don't know why we were doing it. It was like in third grade, and I don't know why I chose Al Gore. But
mine was Bush Clinton.
Okay.
Yeah. Was it? Yeah.
The first Bush.
First Bush, but second election.
So you were legally allowed to vote. I'm talking about as a child voting in a third grade.
Oh, I see.
Fake election.
Okay.
Yeah. No, my first. Well, I've never voted, but yeah, it would have been Obama's first.
So the only time you voted was in your middle school fake election?
That's right. That is correct.
You don't vote?
And American Idol season 2. I did vote for. Yeah. No, I don't vote. I don't. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
I know.
You have to vote.
Don't tell me about it, Dad.
Or else what?
Yeah, or what else? What's going to happen?
Look outside. That's why.
Oh, you think I would have voted against this?
You wouldn't have?
I don't know. At this point, yes. I don't know about 3 months ago. I don't know, but yes, I don't know. We don't talk politics on this show.
Oh,
okay?
we don't.
We don't.
Okay.
We have a lot of loyal fans that are,
Oh, idiots?
Yeah, exactly. Whichever way you take that terminology, idiots. Whichever way.
We don't talk politics, but we did watch the video of Hunter Biden naked smoking crack in a bathtub. So
it was a good one.
That's bipartisan, if you ask me. Everybody can love that. That was fun. I was on his side too. I was like, sorry for party rocking. Yeah, that dude's a fucking G. I love it, and I love that he got pardoned.
He's a loser. I mean, you can't.
Wasn't that what every movie in the '90s was about, being like the son of the president or the son of a major? Yeah, you got to be just a big old thug up, like Chet Hanks. He's the Chet Hanks of our president. Whatever.
Yeah, poor bastard.
Yeah, at least he's not doing Jamaican raps. It could be worse for Hunter.
You never know who your friends are.
Yeah. Calling him a loser is so funny. I never thought of that, because I'm like, he's
a total loser.
Yeah, but he's like traveling around
or a winner, depending on how you. Yeah,
he's doing crack and banging hookers,
getting millions of dollars
on the government's dime.
He's self-documenting it, which takes away all the street cred.
Yeah, true.
I don't know.
That was the whole thing. We were like, what would it take for you to film yourself doing this?
Well, you've already taken a couple hits of the whatever you're smoking. Yeah. You're like, this is a good idea.
Videos themselves smoking a crack pipe. I mean,
naked in a bathtub.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I guess you're not on OnlyFans then.
Sounds like an American
I'm not
hero.
on OnlyFans now.
It's pretty common these days.
I thought about it, but no. Are guys on OnlyFans? I mean, not in a,
Yeah,
probably.
I would assume so. They're not making any money unless you're doing it for other gay dudes. Don't point at me.
No, you're like, I guess so. I don't know. I assume maybe.
My parents watch this podcast. We're not going to talk about.
Oh, they do?
Sometimes, but
Hi,
have we talked about on the podcast that I did an OnlyFans scene? Oh God, you don't have to cut it out. It doesn't matter. I wore a mask. It was a couple years ago.
Oh, I didn't know. You've told me about this, but I didn't know it was for OnlyFans. You just said porn.
No, I didn't say porn. I haven't done porn, okay, Todd? I have never done porn.
Sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Tamburino.
I have never done porn. It was OnlyFans. It's different.
Who was
sex work.
Who was it for?
That's proper sex work. I'm not going to say her name, because then you can go and find her OnlyFans.
It was for Trent and Patrick Logan.
It was a threesome. It was the only threesome I've ever had in my life.
Right.
And it was two beautiful young ladies that I used to work with. No, they were ladies. But it was cool. I mean, it was, so I wore a Scream mask the whole time, which I guess they told me is like a big thing in the porn OnlyFans world. I've never seen it. I've watched plenty of porn. I've never seen a dude wearing a Scream mask. But she said ladies love it. It's a big thing ladies like. I don't know. I even tried to get...
Ladies like the Scream mask?
I don't know. It's just a thing. There's different trends, It's the new dabbing on the hose. But anyway, but I was also I bought these sleeves to wear. So I was naked, but I wanted to wear these sleeves to cover up my very recognizable tattoos.
Right.
And they talked me out of it. So if you ever see a scene,
recently I told you I saw a scene with
No, you didn't. Oh, yeah. So
I did, but I don't think it was you.
That's one thing going for me, is that 1,000 other white guys have the same tattoo. Yeah. So, we should be fine. But it was just weird, because the funniest thing I got out of it, I was crazy drunk when we did it just to do it. But I just remember the POV shots. I would always assume the guy's holding the camera for the POV shot.
Was it like through the mask? Like
right? Little holes. Yeah.
Like you see it start
Halloween. You see the breathing starts to fog it up a little bit. No, but one of the beautiful young ladies would stand behind me with the camera right here in my shoulder as I'm I guess to keep the camera still, because if I'm fucking while I'm holding the camera, I don't know. So, but that was just the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
It's just having a camera right here, and I'm just like, all right.
Very strange.
Yeah.
What brought you to do that?
like I said, I'd never had a threesome before. It might be the only one I ever have. The story of it, and $500.
Oh, no, but I mean, like, it was an OnlyFans like star or something.
I don't want to say she's not a star, but I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't know.
She works at Target.
Oh, she still has a day job. So yeah, I don't know. I have a new joke about that, and it's fake, about how my ex-girlfriend had an OnlyFans. I didn't care if she had an OnlyFans. I just cared that she didn't make any money doing it. I'm like, you can't have me take pictures of your butthole and ask me to borrow $40 for gas.
Right. That's great.
Just I don't know. Like, I should be a stay-at-home boyfriend if you're doing OnlyFans. That's the rule.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Have you ever done porn?
I haven't done porn,
Todd,
but I've done threesomes.
You've been down and out. Oh, cool. Congratulations.
Thanks.
It wasn't only for camera.
No, it's for fun.
How many threesomes have you had?
I've had 2 threesomes and a 4-way, but I was the only guy.
Hey, okay.
Yeah.
That's a...
Wow.
What's that called?
The 90s were awesome.
But you had mentioned, and we know this already, but you said you'd started in Boston. 88? 88. Okay.
So that was during like a big comedy boom, wasn't it? Like,
yeah. Well, it was coming down to the end of the boom.
Yeah.
Okay.
The big boom, I think, was like started in like 81 nationwide, where like Roseanne and Seinfeld and everybody's getting all this stuff. Seinfeld maybe a few years later. But it seemed like every comedian was getting sitcom deals, which caused comedy clubs to explode across the country.
Yeah.
And so I started in 88, and my home club was this place called Nick's Comedy Stop.
Okay.
And it was crazy. It was like comedy college. Like, I got to see all these guys who were monsters, just monsters.
Name
just
a few,
slaying.
maybe? Name a few, if you could.
You might not know them, but like this guy, Don Gavin, is
Okay.
probably the most powerful comic I've ever seen in my life.
Okay.
He never, ever just had a mediocre set. Like, he always killed. He had the kind of set where his material, he's always one step ahead of the punch. Like, as you're laughing at the punch, he's already on the next punch. Like, you would miss stuff.
Yeah.
And he would just destroy. I mean, destroy. My favorite was a guy named Kevin Knox. He's since passed away, got cancer, unfortunately. And he was like a mentor to all of us. He was one of those guys where you could go up to him, ask him anything, or he would just tell you, he'd like, dude, you're doing this, you should do this. And he was just a sweetheart, the most charismatic guy I've ever met in my life. If you listen to Bill's podcast, he talks about him all the time. He was one of those magical guys who could do anything and get away with anything.
And speaking of Bill, these guys sound great. These 2 guys you mentioned, and God rest his soul. Let's talk about the ones that we do know.
Okay, so my class.
Yeah.
Did you guys do
Very
that?
exciting.
You refer to it as your class?
some people are starting to
somewhat.
now.
Yeah, no, we
Yeah.
do. It's just, your class is just now getting through your initial class phase. So you've just now come out of your first class phase.
My class was me, a guy named Robbie Prince, who's still my closest friend to this day. We rode together. We did everything together. A guy named Jim Oletta, really funny guy. A guy named Joe Rogan. I'm sure you've heard of.
bit.
Tom Cotter. Greg Fitzsimmons.
Oh, I love Greg Fitzsimmons.
I was just telling him the other day about that. Yeah. He was just here in Atlanta, I think.
He was?
Or is about to be here. Maybe. He either just was here or is going to be here at the
I would have
Punchline.
gone to say hi.
I think he was just at the Punchline.
He did 3 shows at the Punchline. I was talking to one of them about it.
Yeah, it was last weekend, I think. Yeah,
Oh,
I should have
man, I
gone.
missed
I
that.
should have.
A few other guys you'd probably heard of. And then the class after me was Bill, Patrice,
Oh, wow. I
Dane.
forgot about Patrice and Dane. Yeah, I didn't think about those 2.
and then after that was Gary Gulman, and I'm sure there's some I'm forgetting. Bobby Kelly. Oh, Bobby Kelly was in the same class as Dane.
Oh, wow.
Before me was like Dennis Leary. Wow, that's actually probably a few classes before that, but there was I don't know a lot of. I mentioned Jackie Flynn. Jackie Flynn was, I think, the class before me. He's on Loudermilk now. He's a really funny guy. He's
yeah.
Oh, do you watch Loudermilk?
Yeah, I love that show.
He's is his name Jackie on the show? I think it's Jackie on the show. He's got dark hair. He boxed the little person.
The guy with the glasses?
No, he doesn't have glasses. But he's in every Farrelly Brothers movie too.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was my class. It was a blast. Love to go back.
You were talking about like the comedy boom and stuff. I watched like comedy documentaries and just comedy stuff like every day. And I was watching a history of comedy series, and they were talking about like there was that comedy explosion in like the 80s and early 90s or whatever. And because of all the sitcoms and the popularity of stand-up on TV, it crashed because people were going to mics and live shows expecting like special quality, and so then people just started being like, stand-up sucks, because they would go to shows and it wasn't that like polished hour
Right.
from the special. That's what the documentary thing said. Who knows?
Some of that makes sense a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I think it was just oversaturated at one point. Like comedy was everywhere. Like, you're yawning a lot, dude. It's highly offensive.
I'm so sorry. It's not anything to do with you.
No, you can kind of relate. I was watching literally a video today.
These people keep pumping me with fucking alcohol, and it just makes me sleepy.
Gotcha.
Get it away from me.
Get it away. I'm done. I'm done forever.
You want to do a bump?
Me too.
The best one that I've seen, it's a comedy that's a documentary that's specifically on the Boston scene called "When Stand Up Stood Out."
Stood still.
Yeah,
Stood out.
A guy named Fran Salamita, comedian who directed it. It's it totally captures the whole Boston comedy scene.
Oh yeah. You know what I was saying? I watched a video today. It was talking about the new pandemic or endemic of crowd work. How crowd work's becoming a big thing. That might lead to, I don't think that was even the right word either.
The new apocalypse of crowd work.
The new end of the world. But in this video, the guy was also kind of predicting that this might be the crash of this comedy boom. Because we are going through a comedy boom right now. It's all over social media, but all social media is all just crowd work clips.
Yeah.
Just crowd work and shit. And he said podcast clips too, which is fine. But he said, but crowd work is like, people are coming to shows, and I've been seeing it for, a year or two now. That people come to shows and like, you're doing jokes, and they almost look a little bit disappointed, or they're kind of waiting. They want to jump in, or they will jump in with something supportive. Not even like, they're not heckling. They're not, you suck. It's like, I did that one time, just hoping you're going to call on them. Call on me. Well, it's my turn.
They're not putting two and two together of why people are posting crowd work.
No, but it's not their fault. That's not their fault.
Because they don't want to burn through their material. Exactly, they just think that's what they're doing.
That's what the guy talked about in the video. And because it's just the, level of crowd work is so much less than like doing actual bits. I guess he was talking about like the tension in doing crowd work. You don't have to have as good of a joke when you kind of build that tension with the crowd. They want to kind of laugh at even the smallest little things. That they'll kind of give you something.
Yeah.
Whereas like prepared material, they can always, and I've even been that way as my own, like as a fan of comedy. I love crowd work. I always have. Big Jay Okerson's one of my favorite comedians. And for me, I've always Big Jay Okerson.
Oh, right.
He's from Philadelphia.
Yep.
But one of my things that I just always, it's hard for me to separate from a long time ago, the fact that these comedians they wrote those jokes before they came up here. Like, it's not like an in the moment thing, which I understand, like, it's an art form, whatever, but it's something special to the guys that can come up there. Even just somebody that comes up there and just mentions something in the room, or a comedian before them, or something else, something's going on. Like, I think it's so, I don't know, because I don't do that much.
It makes it electric
I would. Yeah, exactly.
It makes it real.
It shows we're all here, we're here together. I'm not just coming up here just to press play on this, recording that I'm going to tell you. Yeah, we're here. I know where we're at. I
love doing it.
Just like involving, I was talking to him, he hosted the Alley stage tonight. And did fine. It was just a weird crowd. It was mostly comics and just called people. It was the start of the show. Starting shows sucks. It just always will, especially shows like that. It's just, weird open mic, whatever. But he's just, the way he involves different people in the crowd, finding, because I've always loved comedians that, especially as a host of a show, they come out there and be like, pick one person from each part of the room, left, middle, and right, and be like, hey, what do you do? And then get their name, whatever, something about them. And then throughout the show, as you go up there as the host, you can also call back and like, what'd you think of that, Margaret? Did you like that? And just, it keeps, and even if you get that one person in that group, the whole group is going to be on that. They know, like, you're talking to us, that's our team. That's
I have
our
some
person.
of my biggest laughs doing that.
Oh yeah. No, that's like you said, it's stuff that you can post online, that you're not going to burn material.
Right.
People can still come to your shows.
Well,
and
I work it into
not have
some
heard
of the
joke.
material.
Yeah, which is the way I want to start doing it, because I do have bits that could easily be led into by a a targeted question.
Have you guys heard of Trump?
How you guys feel about your stepsisters, huh?
Well, there was a woman that because they do like a thing for veterans, and I pointed to the elderly husband, and I was like, are you a veteran? And the wife was like, I'm the veteran. And I was like, oh, cool. And I was like, oh, cool, what'd you do? And she was like, I was a dentist in the military. And I was like,
did you really not know they had dentists in the military?
Of course not.
That's not something you think about.
I said, were you a combat dentist? And just I don't know. I've just never heard of that. And then
I've never heard of that either.
You've never heard of a military dentist?
It's not something I would have thought about. I mean,
my great grandpa was a very famous World War II dentist, and like worked on a couple famous
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah. No, yeah. There was, I can't.
Joseph Goebbels.
It's killing me that but I think it was one of the presidents. Somebody's teeth he replaced that were only supposed to last a couple of years. Ended up lasting like 30 years. So he had, I want to say Jimmy Carter, somebody, I don't know, because I don't think Jimmy Carter's in World War II, whatever, but had my great grandpa come to his like 90th birthday and like gave him this award and stuff.
Wow,
and like
that's
talked
impressive.
about the work he did on people's teeth. You know, yeah, I mean, you're definitely not getting the Purple Heart for, you know, filling a cavity, but. No, it isn't. But yeah, I mean, you got, especially back then, you know, all the dental issues and stuff. That would kill more people than almost anything. Dental issues.
Yeah, true.
It'll kill you quick.
Abscess will take you down.
Yeah. So they had, military dentists, doctors.
Man,
You just never think.
What's the STD doctors? They had those. A lot of those. A lot of STDs in the Army.
Well, it's like so specific. If someone was like, "Yeah, I'm a Marine or I'm a U.S. Navy gynecologist" or something, it's like you're like, "What? They have those?"
yeah.
Like,
And I love how Quan in the front said he was like a combat medic, and you're like, "Is that the same thing as what you?" No, he was in combat, like
He's
tourniqueting and like
morphine,
sticking wounds, and she was just like filling cavities at the military base in the Philippines or whatever. You know, it wasn't
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's why you've never.
They're not doing root canals on the front line.
I mean, there's a lot of different Army positions, like
in the trenches.
I have a cousin who did like clerical and like admin and payroll stuff, and then now just manages a PX, which is just like a Walmart on a military base, and that's her position. She's in the Air Force. That's her position. She's pretty high rank, and that's her job. She's the manager of the department store on base. So it's like, yeah, you got different
so
jobs.
your whole family is military.
No, I mean, I was my dad, my cousin, but not too much.
My cousin was in the military and he was a desk jockey.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
But I didn't know this. They do like active shooter drills at the office, and there's someone who just walks in.
What is he working in middle school?
Someone who walks in with a gun with blanks and just walks around and shoots people in the office, and they're like, "You're dead," and then they have to be laying there dead. And he said almost every time, no one would stop the shooter. Like they completely failed the active shooter drills. But it's so weird to just have a guy randomly walk in and be like, "All right, this is an active shooting," and just walk around and just like cat people in the back of the head.
Do they know he's coming?
I don't know. I don't know what the preparation.
I was just thinking if they set up like a Home Alone type.
Well, it was like
just different obstacles that he has to come through, and like, we were ready for you this time, motherfucker.
And how much force can they
and then
use
you
to
shoot
take
him.
Yeah,
then you shoot
true.
him for real. And like, not gonna get us.
Yeah, I'm pretending to take you down. It's like, I'm resisting. You don't do it.
I
Like
think that's why nobody's doing anything, because what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Like go up to him and
Yeah.
go tag?
Right.
If you don't tell them there's coming, I'm sure somebody would like hit him with a chair or something.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah,
There's
that
got to
could
be
pretty
something.
dangerous.
I just think it's funnier to leave out information like that, so it sounds stupider.
But I do think it's funny that every military person, no matter if that is your job, you still all go to the same basic training, like boot camp and stuff. Everybody goes to boot camp, and then you go to your job school or whatever. But yeah, I just think it's funny because you can see the guys in basic training boot camp. They're like, they only joined to do fucking payroll, and they want to be a JAG, legal aid or whatever, and like, but they still have to carry the rifle and okay. I don't know.
That's fun.
Yeah, hell yeah, military shit.
Anyway,
Anywho,
What year did you guys start doing comedy?
I started 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, which sucks for me that I'm 7 years in, almost 8 years in now, kind of that. But I went hard the first 2 years, 2018 to 2020, went hard. Mics every night, 3 or 4 mics every night. And then COVID started.
Right.
And we all got to stay at home, and all that FOMO went away, and all like, whatever. And it took years for me to get out of that.
Yeah.
Of like, not even, but just like, coming out. It's only been the past like 6 months or so that I've really been going out to mics every night and doing all the shit. And it's
that brings up an interesting point. How much did the Black Plague affect your upbringing in comedy?
Well, I
what was
wasn't.
your pandemic?
No, I meant the.
You're talking about the actual Black Plague?
Yeah,
COVID.
You're making age jokes at
That's
me,
fine.
so I'm
I was talking about crime in inner cities.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, for us it was AIDS, probably.
Oh.
Really?
Well, I think I was in high school when. No. Actually, no. It was a few years after that because I had surgery in Boston, and before the surgery, they took a bunch of my blood to use in case I needed it during the surgery.
Oh.
And they used it all up. There were complications. They went through all that, and then they had to give me somebody else's blood, a transfusion. And maybe like a year later, there was a big article in the Boston Herald that said, if you had any kind of transfusion between these years, you need to come in immediately because we've had an AIDS outbreak with the system. And I was like, oh, man. just what I need on
So-
a Thursday.
So what was like Zoom and TikTok comedy like during the AIDS crisis?
Almost non-existent. Yeah, you could say it didn't
Write letters
exist
to
yet.
each other.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
Hell yeah.
It's weird that there's so many new things that just weren't around. You know, I feel so old sometimes. Thank God Dan Ella was there last night.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
but I mean, the more
70.
things change, though, it's just a different. Like we have much more access to cameras, social media, stuff like that. But that's also sort of a hindrance. I feel like that's unfortunately now that's what you have to do these days. You have to be up on the posting clips and being on the social media and promoting yourself.
When I was starting out and doing it back there in Boston,
And how old were you?
I started at 21.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if you wanted to tape, you had to like hire a guy, literally,
Yeah.
to come,
One
because
of those
nobody had
things.
video cameras like wealthy people did. But you'd have to hire a guy, come in the back, set up the tripod, do the whole thing, and hope you had a great set. Like you pay either way.
You couldn't decide afterwards like you can these days.
It wasn't
I
cheap.
laugh at
If
comedians that buy their tape before they've even performed, because most clubs
Yeah.
and stuff, just so you'll know, most clubs, places will offer you to buy your tape. They'll professionally videotape
Right.
it. It's anywhere from $10 to fucking $30 for your damn 4-minute set or
Yeah.
whatever. So I see people pay for it before they've even gone. I used to do it back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and I would get my tape out and I wouldn't even ever watch it because I knew it sucked or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait till after you're done. Wait till after the set.
Absolutely.
Isn't it
Yeah.
kind of funny though after the set to be like, yeah, that was worth
pretty good.
$20?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Then it's even funnier when you do get the tape and you watch it and you're like, well, fuck, okay, I wasted my money on
Whoops.
that. I don't know.
Well, imagine
I
it's
thought that went
75
way
or
better.
$85. That's
Yeah.
what we paid.
Damn.
And then,
And the actual physical tape. And if you wanted to
Yeah.
send tapes to people,
Then you had
it
to make
wasn't
copies of
shooting
the
them
tapes.
a YouTube link. It was,
you'd have to
making
take it
copies
to
of the
a place
tapes.
and duplicate it or pay the guy who videoed it to duplicate it.
Did you ever do that? Like,
Oh, yeah.
no, I mean, like, did you ever do that yourself? Like with
like two
with
VCRs.
tape?
Do you mean tape myself or have somebody tape me and then?
No, like, did you ever try to like duplicate it yourself? Like, did you ever have the equipment for that?
You just needed two
No,
VCRs.
I didn't. Yeah, but again, like if you had two VCRs,
Whoa.
yeah,
Money bags over
yeah,
here.
that was crazy. Nobody had two VCRs.
I have two VCRs right now that I'm repairing.
But yeah, let's back to so you started you started comedy in '88. How
Yeah.
long did you do it? I mean, did you ever stop doing? I'm under the impression you stopped doing comedy for a
I
while
did,
and
yeah.
raising your kids and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Doing
So I did it in Boston. I worked my way up to, host, middle, headliner. And then I left Boston in 1994
to go where?
to go to LA.
Okay, yeah.
And got to LA, did the open mic, got that, whatever. And then I got some warm-up work out there. And I was warming up some different shows. And I was
Yeah, you did Married with Children.
did Married with Children. I did Singled Out on MTV.
Hell yeah.
There was a show called Buzz I did. There was another dating show. And the whole time I was doing colleges too. And then like around 2002, I got married. And I just kind of made the decision. We just talked about this last night. Sorry, I'm boring you.
No. This isn't supposed to be interesting for me.
Right, yeah, it's for them, not yeah.
I knew a lot of older comedians who didn't have families, and I just really wanted to have a family. That was important to me, and I didn't want to take that gamble. And very few comics can really pull it off, like getting married and having kids at a traditional age, and then still becoming successful. Like even Bill, like he has kids now.
Yeah,
He's
young,
56.
right? How old is his oldest? Would you say? I mean, under 10, right?
Yeah, she's like 7. or
Yeah.
That's why he made that movie, Old Dads.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is hilarious.
No, but yeah, you're telling a 35-year-old that's always kind of wanted
Sorry.
kids that
Well,
like,
I was 38 when I had my daughter, so you still
okay,
have time.
okay. Your first daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 38.
Nice. Yeah.
But I didn't want to be like 60 and doing it.
Yeah.
So I cut back on the touring out of town, and I just did local stuff. And I maybe went out one weekend a month to do a club or a college. And then I got a job teaching art. So I was teaching art during the day and just doing it that way. And I just started writing screenplays and script during that time to creatively get stuff out. And then, it drops back to like maybe one weekend a year I would do it. I think the most I ever went was like maybe, I don't know, about 5 years. I went several years without doing it.
Yeah.
The longest stretch was before I just started doing it again.
Okay.
Because during that time, I'm still friends with all those guys, and we would talk and everything, but I just wouldn't see them as often. And then, Bill blew up, and Dane blew up first. Gary blew up. Everybody's blowing up, and as they're all blowing up, I'm like, did I do the right thing?
Yeah, how was that? That's what I mean. I love, whether you hide it or not, but I love your humility and all that. Just that I can't imagine.
Nobody to blame.
I can't imagine 20 years from now, somebody be like, oh, did you hear Perry Benton brought up your name on a podcast? I'd be like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
It could
we were talking about how Rogan brought up your name a couple weeks ago on his podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You did Bill Burr's podcast. So, I mean, they still, you're still part of them, and but yeah, you watch them all.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It's cool when it's, people that you like and respect.
Yeah.
Then there's really. Then there's no fans. Like,
No, it's funny. I told Daniel Delano, he's doing a headlining show at Helium in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I was like, dude, you fucking congratulations, man. I was like, you're one of the few comedians I'm genuinely happy for.
Right.
And he broke down. He was like, dude, that means a lot to me. I was like, yeah, because you know how serious I am. They're like, yeah, most people I would not, I would say I'm happy for you, but he's one of the few or many, I don't know. But yeah, I told him, like, dude, I'm genuinely fucking happy for you.
Yeah, I'm happy for him
dude.
too. He's a good kid.
Yeah.
Which he's even younger than me.
He is.
By a lot.
He started 2 years after me. I remember when he started. And when he was, so I saw him. He was terrible in the beginning. It's so good now. So it's just that's why it's been awesome. He's always been great. Like 2019, 2020, something like that. Yeah.
So he was like 18.
I think so. Yeah, I think there were some clubs he couldn't get into because of his age, and certain bars and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's been rocking it. But anyway, so seeing your friends.
Chappelle blew up.
Oh, that
because Chappelle used to come to Boston.
Okay.
Yeah, he used to come to Boston maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
Wow.
Into the clubs.
Okay.
He didn't have a car, so everybody used to complain about having to drive him around.
Yeah.
And he was, talk about humility. He got written up in like one of the Washington D.C. papers.
Yeah.
A little article about him, and he carried it around. He's like, "Look, dude,
so the
I'm in the
humility,
newspaper."
You mean?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But
So what was that like seeing? Yeah, I mean, yes, like I said, seeing them kind of blow up throughout your.
It was cool. It was really cool. Joe started to make it while I was still doing it big time in the 90s.
Okay.
Because
that might be, but I guess if you're out of it enough and you see people start blowing, like, okay, cool. Whereas if you're still doing it hardcore full time, might not be as easy to see these guys jump ahead of you.
I don't know. That's actually interesting. It could go both ways depending on the mood you're in.
Very true. Yeah.
I'm not going to say I never had thoughts where I was like, ugh,
You got 2 little kids running around and doing all this shit.
I never ever regretted the kids. I never regretted the kids. But I did regret thinking maybe I could have done both,
Yeah.
But no, like the cool guys did it. I'm trying to think if there are any dicks that made it that I could be like, oh, that guy, fuck him. Well, one of them, like Carlos Mencia, I didn't know him from Boston, but from L.A.
Yeah.
So when he started getting big, I'm like, man, this guy's fucking.
Was he always an asshole? He was always pretty unlikable. He was
always a hack.
Yeah. Okay.
Dennis Leary was always a dick.
Thank you.
Really?
Awesome. Good. That's good to hear.
Huge dick.
That's gratifying.
Never liked him. He was a real in Boston. He was just like.
He hasn't done like stand up for a while, has he though?
No, he does that. He does a special every year in Boston called Comics Come Home. I think they used to put it on Comedy Central. I don't know if they still do.
Yeah.
It's a big arena. They do it at like the Boston Garden. And he has like, some famous friends come in and do it. But I think he's got another series coming out soon. But he started to make it right when I left Boston. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. He had a bunch of stuff on MTV. He had specials, and he was just such a hack, such a thief. He like stole stuff like.
Yeah.
I mean, he ripped off Bill Hicks's whole act.
Yeah.
Verbatim.
I imagine.
Verbatim.
That's another thing.
It's on YouTube, side by side.
Damn. Yeah. I love those little comparisons.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I was going to say is, I don't know if it was easier back in the day to steal people's material or if it's easier now or what kind of, I guess, just different. So back then, you didn't have social media where someone could, like, I don't use Twitter at all. Mm-hmm. The only thing I've ever used Twitter for is I'll post, like, if one of my jokes is really hitting, I'll post, like, a little line or something of it or a little clip or something to have the timestamp of, like, when I did that. And I can have, you can use that in any way. If you have a YouTube video, anything you can show, like, here's my timestamp where I did this joke the first time, whatever. Yeah. So back then, you didn't have that.
Right.
But there's also nowadays where any comedian can just find some random low-level comedian in a different city, pull up their TikTok, or then just take their jokes and do them. I've seen people do that before.
Yeah, there was
you obviously don't steal from Chappelle. I've seen the idiots steal from Chappelle and Rogan and Burr and try to do their jokes. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Find somebody that nobody knows and steal their jokes.
No, there was a dick back home, and he he would go up, like if he saw an open micer doing it. He was high up.
Yeah.
And if he saw an open micer doing like a really funny, every open micer has one
Yeah,
really
yeah,
good
yeah.
bit.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So he'd go, hey, you're doing my bit. And the open micer would be like, what? Terrified.
Oh, no.
It's like, just don't do it anymore, okay? And then
And
he
then
would
he would
start
just
doing
say,
it.
Oh my
Just take
god!
it.
Just make it his. Yeah.
I find that interesting of like the dudes that like started in stand up and then they switch to acting and then never do stand up again.
Yeah, I don't get that either. Like Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that. But,
Sandler.
well, no, Sandler still does it though.
Does he?
He doesn't
Okay.
like, he tours.
Okay.
And I think he does like select
He does like a
cities.
one-man show type deal. I mean, I guess it's
Yeah.
funny. It's still stand-up. It's still whatever.
Yeah. I don't think he'd ever stop doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of somebody.
But I know a few people that if they got a gig doing acting, that's kind of more their passion. They're kind of just using comedy to get into, and in other ways. I mean, like Mello Black, one of the greatest comedians, one of my best friends. He does not want to be a comedian. He'll tell you straight up he wants to be a writer. He wants to write for like SNL,
Really?
sitcoms, or he wants to be a comedy writer.
Interesting.
So yeah. Some people just don't, If he blows up as a comedian, I'm sure he'll take it. But yeah, that's kind of his dream is to just write, be behind the scenes.
I heard somebody ask Steve Martin one time, back in the 70s, in the 80s, Steve Martin was touring. He was like selling out arenas. And then once he started doing movies, he just stopped.
Yeah.
And somebody asked him why he doesn't do comedy anymore. And he said, I don't have anything to say. He literally said, I don't know what to talk about
Yeah.
anymore.
Because you have to still remain relatable and stuff too. Because I've heard people talk about like Kevin Hart right now, like barely writes any of his own jokes anymore. He's got
Is
like a
that
whole
true?
crew of and he'll openly talk about it somewhat. He's got his paper cut boys or whatever they're called, something like that, that all write his jokes for him. But he's talked about how like he doesn't live a very relatable life. What is he going to go up there and joke
Right.
about, like what it's like to have your third assistant do this, or whatever, and go to the
would be-
Grammys? And
That would be a funny like
No, you
special.
could,
It's
you
like
could, you could
super
definitely.
unrelatable, like
Yeah.
rich people shit.
Well, it's like how what Curb Your Enthusiasm, whatever that guy, that's
Larry
kind of what
David.
Larry David does. He
Yeah.
does. That's what that brilliant show is that it's
Right.
about him, real life, 100 millionaire,
Yeah.
and just the everyday little stupid things that happen to him, even as a rich person.
Right.
You still go through dumb.
He's, like, pissed off about
Kevin
someone-
Hart could, but he's got writers that kind of relate stuff, or write stuff that's still relatable to most people.
Yeah, funny's
So he's
funny.
still, yeah. I don't know. There's different,
I had a very Larry David moment at my apartment.
What happened?
This dude, he had like bleach blonde, like the coconut bowl cut thing, just like jacked, tatted up, douchebag, always pulling up in his Lexus, blasting music, and he kept parking in the handicap spot. And I was like, this dude is not handicapped. And like we saw him with like his girlfriend, with his wife. And then I saw him like a few days later, and he was carrying this girl out of his car. And I was like, oh my God, he's carrying a drunk girl to cheat on his wife. It was his physically handicapped daughter.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, oh my God, I feel like such an asshole, because I've been like, this guy's parking in the handicap and he has nothing on, and he's like carrying his daughter up to the third floor of their apartment. And I was like, oh God, I feel like such an asshole
That's
now.
great. That's great.
Yeah, but I bet he still parks in those spaces when she's not with him too. So
No, he didn't. I started seeing him at the gym.
Oh
and he
no!
was just a really
he parks as far away as he can to make up for
He's
it.
a really nice dude. Me and my roommate were just trashing him, and like our one of our neighbors was like always blasting music at like 5 a.m, and I was like, "Fuck this guy!" Whatever. Totally different person. He's and then we see him one day. He's going to his like he's like a construction worker, so he's like a construction worker, like trying to
Struggling.
take care of his disabled daughter, and we're just sitting in our apartment being like, this douchebag parking in the handicap spot, and we saw that.
Wait, he's a construction worker and they live on the third floor apartment? Guy can't build a one-level house for his daughter? What the fuck?
But it was
Dad,
like
can we
were just like accusing him of like being a drunk, because these people had like liquor bottles in all their windows, and we're like, this guy's a drunk, he's blasting his music, he's cheating on his wife and all this. And then it's like he's a hardworking construction worker taking care of his family.
Yeah.
And just
All
like,
he's doing is getting drunk and fucking his physically disabled daughter.
Right.
He's not a piece of
Jesus
shit.
Christ.
He's just
Jesus
God.
Christ.
Wow.
he's not so bad after all.
I did have a real question for you though.
Yeah.
On that note.
On that note?
None of my questions have been
no.
real. I've been having some good topics. I want to talk about cruises though. Go ahead.
Okay.
This is a quick one, but so like did you know like Joe Rogan in Boston? Or like not know, but like you were around or something like that.
Yeah, no, we hung out all the time.
But then didn't he do like LA? Didn't he?
Yeah. I went to LA first.
Okay, that was my question.
So Joe Rogan's just always copied all of your moves, huh? He started after you in Boston. You moved to LA.
I think we started within literally like within the same month.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Who went bald first?
He copied you on that.
It's probably pretty close.
Yeah, I was curious about like how close that like transition from Boston to LA for like both of you.
He went to New York, and that's where he got his manager found him, a guy named Jeff Sussman, who took him on and then started and instantly got him a deal, believe it or not, with Disney. Yeah, because Jogan, he was filthy back then.
Yeah. He
got a development deal for $100,000.
Wow.
And the way it came about was, I think Comedy Central offered Joe a deal for $3,000, like a $3,000 holding deal, and his manager was like, "That is just insulting." So he used that to he went to Disney and he went to all the other companies and said, "Look, they're offering." He didn't say how much. They're offering a deal. What do you do? And then Disney bid the highest at $100,000. So he went. His first thing was a TV show called Hardball. I don't know if you guys.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I was thinking News Radio was his first, but yeah, that's right.
No,
yeah,
Hardball came first. It was like a major league sitcom.
That's
basically.
right. Yeah.
It was fun. I used to go to all the tapings. We'd hang out. Phil Hartman was on the show with him.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it was great. So we'd watch him in action, and it was a blast. And then that guy, I think that lasted one season, and then it got canceled. And then he got what came first, News Radio or Fear Factor? I think News Radio came next. Yeah. And then went to a bunch of those tapings. We used to hang out all the time. He was really cool, and he would he would pay for everything, because we were all struggling. We didn't have any money, and he would just pick up the check. What else can I say about Joe? The way I met him, I think I told this story on Bill's podcast, so it may be repetitive, but that same place where I was talking about doing the caricatures in Somerville, it was in a basement, and I'd never met Joe before. And I was on this show, he was on that show, and the guy who booked it was a guy named Tommy Dunham, he's dead now. He's a big fat guy, and he was a real wise ass. And he said, "Hey, see that guy over there?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "His name's Joe." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Go up to him and call him a beep beep," or something like that, And I'm like, back then, everybody talked like that back then. Tommy was trying to basically trick me into messing with him. Except I figured it out when I got closer to him, and I could see that he was kind of in good shape.
You're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
This might be a trap.
So I said, I go, why is Tommy trying to get me to fuck with you? And he goes, "Oh, because he knows I'll kick your ass." And I said, well, even though I could tell by looking at him, he even then, he looked like a fucking pit bull. He didn't, I knew he could take me, but maybe it's the Boston mentality. I couldn't acknowledge that. I had to have some dignity. So I said, "Well, you try." And he goes, "Dude, I would fucking destroy you." And I went, "Well, you're awfully confident of that." He goes, "Yeah, Tommy knows I do martial arts and blah, blah." And I went, "Oh, okay." So we start talking martial arts. We're sitting by the bar, and I started talking about a scene in a movie I'd seen where a guy kicked a beam on the ceiling. And he goes, "Oh, I can fucking do that." And I was like, "Shut up." He goes, "No, I can do that." And I go, "You can kick that beam, right?" Because we're in a basement, so there's these wooden beams that are, still maybe like that's the light of your ceiling fan there.
Okay.
And I said, "You could kick that." And he goes, "Yeah, dude." And he took 2 steps back. He's wearing jeans. And he jumped up and did like a split almost and hit it. And didn't just hit it so that dust came off. It was loud. It was like a gunshot. And I was like, "Holy fuck. Dude, wow, you're the real deal." And he's like, "Yeah, I told you, man." And we just became friends after that. We would go hang out. He was part of my class. So we would, back then, all of us together, we would go everywhere. When I started, there were 5 comedy clubs within a 1-block area downtown Boston.
Wow.
I'm not talking about a bar. I'm talking about comedy clubs.
Yeah.
There was Nick's Comedy Stop. Right down the street was the Comedy Connection. Across the street was Duck Soup. And around the corner there was the Comedy Vault. And you would just, once you got to a certain level where you could go on whenever you wanted, you could come up with a premise in the morning and literally have it polished by the end of the night by just going.
Is it still like that over there?
No.
Or have a lot of those closed?
No, a lot of them are all gone. Nick's Comedy Stop is still there, but it's not like it was. I think it's just started recently coming back, but it's been redecorated. It doesn't look the same. I'm sure it's doing great, but I just haven't. It won't ever be as nostalgic to me as the way it looked back then. It was like something out of Scarface. It was like all red carpeting, red walls, these mirrored columns with lights on them. It was just amazing.
Lots of cocaine.
Yeah. So Nick's was like home base for all of us, and there was a club around the corner, a bar called Dominic's. So everybody would like start their night usually at Nick's or Dominic's, and then go do, whether you're doing one of those clubs or whether you're doing like one of the 100 clubs, literally 100 clubs that are like satellite rooms, we'd all meet back downtown and hang out and stay out all night and do whatever we did. So Joe was like in that moving caravan of comics that we would travel with. It was a blast. We had so much fun.
Yeah.
That Boston documentary you were talking about, they talked about a lot of those clubs in that, didn't they?
Probably, yeah.
Because I remember, what was the Duck Soup one?
Duck Soup, I think Duck Soup came after that, but Duck Soup was owned by the same people who owned the Comedy Connection. Like the very first comedy location in Boston was a Chinese restaurant called the Ding Ho.
That's the one they were talking about in the documentary a ton.
Yeah, and that's where Stephen Wright, Don Gavin, Lenny Clark, Steve Sweeney, if I didn't say that, or Dennis Leary, and others that I'm forgetting that are the names you would know. Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah.
A bunch. And they would, Kevin Meaney. They would all start there, okay? And then the Comedy Connection opened up. And when the Comedy Connection opened up, there were such lines that the guys that owned Nick's, it wasn't a comedy club, it was a restaurant with a big function room. They started taking the people out of the line, the overflow, and that's how Nick's got started. And then, it was just this boom town of awesome places to play. And so Duck Soup, I'm sorry, they opened up Duck Soup. And Duck Soup to this day was one of the most fun places ever. It was set up like it's in the basement of the Wilbur Theater, and it's kind of like not stadium seating, but pretty much goes up in an angle.
Yeah.
And the ceiling is really low and goes with that angle. So when you get a laugh, it like bounces back and forth.
Oh, wow.
It was insane. And that was the first time I worked with Stephen Wright. It blew me away. He goes up, I had to follow him. And he, the backdrop was a painting of a duck, like a cartoon duck. And I'd never seen him do this before. I'd only seen him on TV. He turns around, he looks at the duck, and he jumps, and he goes, "Oh, I thought it was real," like that. And then he laughed. That's the part I'd never seen. Like, he never laughs on stage. He's always just like very dry.
Yeah.
So seeing him break character was like really cool. Yeah. I didn't do well going after him either.
I can imagine.
No.
Yeah, not going well. But yes, you've been back. How long? You've been back doing it about 3 years, 3 or 4
Something
years
like that,
now?
like right after COVID.
Yeah.
Because Bill had asked me to do a show with him, and I think it was sometime in 2020.
Yeah. What show? Where was that at? That was a big one. Some festival or something, right?
Oh no, not that.
Oh.
No, it was either Cobb Energy Center or the Fox. I'm not sure. And
one of those
I was
small
like,
little.
Right.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, please let it not get canceled. Please let it not get canceled. Let the people be back. Yeah, and it worked out great. The coolest thing I did with him was I told you about this one, and this one, it's just, you have to brag about it. It's just not my world. I had just done a weekend in Boston at a place called Giggles, which is a great club, and Bill was in town in Boston at the same time. He goes to Boston once a year, sees his family and stuff, and he was in town the same time. So we did a show at wherever we did the show. At Giggles. Oh, because this was, I'm sorry, all over the place. He did Fenway Park.
Yeah.
Okay. It was the week before Fenway Park.
Okay.
And that's why he was in town, to see his family and to do Fenway Park. And that was amazing. I didn't go on stage at Fenway.
Did you go to the show though?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
It was awesome. And then I went back home the day or 2 days after Fenway, and he stayed in Boston. And then he called me. And he was like, dude, you're still here, right? Like in Boston. And I go, no, I'm back in Atlanta. Why? He goes, oh, man, because I just got offered to do this gig in this comedy festival in Nova Scotia, and they're giving me a private jet. I know we'd go. And I'm like, dude, I'll fucking come back to Boston for that. Yeah, so I jumped on a plane, and I went back to Boston. And, oh, my God, that lifestyle is just like it's just like you see in the movies. Like, you know, you go to the special you go to the airport and they've got like a little side area. They take you right out to the jet. Everybody is like your maid. Not that you treat them like that, but everybody's like, well, can I get you this? Can I get you that? And they get you on the plane. It was just me and Bill, Tony V, who I left out before, another classic Boston comedian, nicest guy in the world. Bill's security tour manager, a guy named Club Soda Kenny, and Bill's brother, and it was just us, and it was the coolest thing ever. So we fly to Nova Scotia, get off the plane. There's this like big, I say limo, but it's an SUV waiting for us. Takes us right to it was an outdoor festival. So there's 10,000 people there. I got to do 30 minutes.
Jesus.
I'm just like, this is a fucking amazing. It was like a dream come true.
In Nova Scotia?
Yeah. Yeah, Halifax, Nova Scotia.
It was like tens of thousands of people, right?
No, 10,000.
10,000, yeah,
10,000,
okay.
yeah. But it looked like Woodstock.
Yeah. I've seen pictures.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
And then we just, right after the show, we get back in the limo, and we went back to the airport, but we were fogged in, so we ended up staying. And this is what really blew me away. Like, the treatment that celebrities get is so insane. Like, Kenny said to Bill, he goes, where do you want to stay? We have to stay the night. We can't fly out tonight. And Bill just said, let's do someplace nice. So I'm guessing like sometimes he's probably going, Holiday Inn's fine, you know. But this night, maybe because we were with him, he wanted to make it special for us. So he said, let's stay someplace nice. So the limo takes us to this fancy, fancy hotel in Halifax. And like the manager and the staff are waiting outside to greet us. And I'm like, holy shit.
Like your soldiers coming home from war and they got a big banner for you.
So I'm saying,
we missed you.
I say to Bill, like, does this happen all the time like this? And he's like, he doesn't pay attention to that stuff now.
Yes, it does.
I don't want to say he takes it for granted. He doesn't. He's just so concerned about the show and people getting their money's worth.
The Larry David life. Yeah, he's used to it, but there's other shit he's got going on just because you think he's used to that shit. That's pretty fucking cool.
That was like the only thing that sucked about it is after we came back to Boston on the private jet, I had to go back to Atlanta on Delta. Like, and getting on a Delta flight after flying private was
everybody else on the plane,
crazy.
like, you people only knew, peasants. What am I doing here with you people?
I was saying,
my last flight, it was 4 of us, but yeah, okay, this is cool.
Yeah, so that's probably like one of the highlights of my life so far.
Wow.
Yeah, besides the kids being born that you have to say that.
Yeah. All that bullshit.
I feel he's still feels like so grounded somehow.
Oh, he is. He totally is. There's like no.
I feel like as a great comedian, you should, and you kind of have to. I mean, the workings of a great comedian is never taking yourself too seriously, never being, Yeah, and once you start doing it, you're not. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, if you were able to become such a great comedian as he was, that comes from being self-deprecating all the time, being
right.
Yeah, self-aware and that kind of stuff. So,
like he knows his stature because I've seen him.
Yeah,
like,
they know, but but he'll quickly. I'm sure he'd quicker make fun of his own stature than he would exploit it or try to use it for something.
But he doesn't let people take advantage of him.
Yeah.
You know? But he and Dane and most of the guys I know who have made it, they're very, very cool with people.
Yeah,
like Dane and I'll go to a movie in L.A. and he'll everybody will. The concession guy selling popcorn, Dane will go out of his way to be like, hey, man, thanks. What's your name, dude? Because he knows this person is going to be telling people, hey, I met Dane Cook, and Bill does the same thing. Like, he's nice to everybody.
Every little interaction is that person's maybe biggest moment of their day, their month, their year. Yeah. That's pretty wild.
Like when I go with Bill to do these theater shows, there's all these people backstage who, every type of job you could imagine, taking care of things, and he always is like has a nice word for them, talk to them, how you doing, what's your name. It's just great to see.
Yeah,
like I can't imagine some of the other people that I talked about earlier who are dicks doing that.
Yeah,
like, well, that's not diet, fuck you. Like, I can see that.
Yeah, for sure. So you've been back. What did you want?
Sorry, you talked about going from private to flying Delta. I've been on 2 planes ever. The first one was a private jet where we got in a limo and got driven straight up to the runway and all that stuff. And then the second one was a Delta a middle seat flight.
You've only been on 2 flights?
Yeah.
I forgot you were born in 2013.
It's pretty crazy. I'm still.
Wow.
Where were those flights?
I'm 12 years old.
Where were those flights to? Where was the private one to?
What's up?
I used to be I used to work at a country club, and it was
Jeffrey Epstein. He's young, but still old enough. Still old enough to get on that private plane. Yeah, exactly. He's like, I hit the right age, the right time.
It was actually the neighborhood Ron White lived in before he moved to Austin.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like a golf boy or whatever, like cleaned his like golf clubs and stuff, like whenever he would show up, and he was super nice and everything.
Yeah, I hear he's a great guy.
But there was like this rich family, and I was like the eighth option. They asked everyone they knew. They needed a babysitter for this vacation trip. So they had me, like I met at their house, and we got in the limo and drove to like the private jet and flew to his like 4-story mansion.
Wow.
In Naples, Florida.
Okay. All right.
And
yeah.
It was like an hour it was like an hour and a half like plane ride.
No, yeah, but I was thinking
it was a
like
private
the coast of France or like Naples, Florida.
Yeah, it was a place near where my family goes on vacation, to a more trashy part, obviously. And we always drove, and I'd watch 10 movies on the back of a
I remember
car
those
seat.
days. Yeah.
And, but we like flew, and it took no time, and I just drove like a car around with the dude's credit card, and it was just these rich kids that just couldn't drive. And all they did all vacation was just got ready to go get a fancy breakfast, and then they would come back. They had to get ready and change to go to a fancy lunch, and then they had to come back and get ready and change to go to a fancy dinner. And I was just like, yeah, I'll get the $50 or whatever that weird fish is, and he's not going to mind. But that was my first time ever on an airplane.
That's amazing. So that's a downer. Like, you start that way.
Yeah.
It only goes down from here.
But it really had nothing. It was like 4 people. It was like someone went up. They were like, yeah, so-and-so didn't want to do it because so-and-so couldn't do it because so-and-so. Yeah. And you're like the last option.
Right. Oh, so they told you.
I'll take it.
Basically. They basically said, we need someone to do this. And, yeah, it was just kind of driving kids around the whole time. Damn. It was cool, but...
For a private flight, I would do all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
I would do that.
Blow Jeffrey Epstein.
I didn't really fit on it very well though.
Oh.
I was like I was kind of just like jammed into it, and I guess I also didn't really realize how cool it was at the time, because I had no experience with an airplane.
Oh, this is how every flight is. Why are you guys complaining about Spirit Airlines and Frontier? This is not that bad. I don't know. It can't get worse than this, right?
Well, then I flew to Texas on for a work trip, and I was like, holy shit, this is totally different.
Whole different style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The just like getting through the airport took longer than the entirety of driving there, being on the plane, landing, and then driving to the, like, sitting at the airport and waiting, and then like waiting in line to get on the plane and all that took longer than the whole trip to fly. But I looked it up, and it's like 60,000, 90.
It's crazy.
I was
private
like,
flights are wild.
Yeah.
It seems so unnecessary.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
speaking of
private flights,
nice modes of transportation,
Taylor Swift has taken her private jet to fly 10 miles. Have you seen that? All right.
Anyway. Is that true?
Yeah.
It was
10 miles.
It was 10 miles as the crow flies or whatever. It was, there's a cool video somebody did on like a flight simulator of it taking off. It's somewhere in Missouri. I think it like leaves from like the St. Louis airport and goes to Kansas. I don't know, somewhere else in St. Louis. It's
like a half-hour flight.
No, it was 8 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it was a 20-minute drive.
Okay, yeah, but you know what? Think of what's entailed in her taking a commercial flight. Wait, how long of a drive?
A 20-minute drive.
I don't know if it did.
Yeah,
it would have been
that doesn't sound.
It looked like it was.
She's done that multiple times.
So you're not a fan? You're not a Swiftie?
No.
I am. We're very divided on this podcast.
I think she gets a bad rap.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't know. She doesn't. Yeah.
I like her. I like the fact that she writes her own shit. I like the fact that she, for the most part, sets a good example. All these little girls that go and see her. She's not like.
That's fair.
Sabrina Carpenter.
And I sort of respect
talking about sucking this and blowing that.
Yeah.
And
I respected her taking a political stance when she, for the love of God, should not have. By all means, everybody you would ask, she should not have taken a political stance. That was the worst thing that ever happened to her career. But so that shows you a lot that somebody has that kind of conviction.
I don't think it was the worst thing for her career. I mean, it's not like she's...
What is worse than that for her career as a country music
bigger
artist?
Now than she's ever been.
Sure, I guess you're gonna gain maybe more than you lose, or I don't know, and maybe fuck those fans that didn't. But I'm saying, she's losing a lot of her hardcore conservative, which I'm sure they still listen to her in their fucking cars. They're still fans of her. They'll say whatever bullshit, but
and
we
I
all
like
still
the
listen
fact
to
that
Michael
she started
Jackson
when she was like 15. Like she started writing songs when she was 15.
Yeah.
She knew what she wanted to do.
Yeah, no, you can't blame her for being successful. I mean,
Yeah. But I absolutely don't like, people shit on her for writing songs about her boyfriends. Like
whatever.
Every single guy writes songs about girls. It's the same
true.
thing. It's just because she's a girl that you're saying, oh, look what she's. I don't know. I think she's. Yeah,
we're pro Taylor Swift, so I guess you're on the out here. You're the minority. Congratulations, dude.
So to answer your question, I think it was like
minority.
2020. It was late 2020, I think, or 2021.
When you came back to doing stand-up?
Yeah.
And then, so I did want to talk about, just because I'm very fascinated by it, you've been doing a few cruises.
Yes.
Comedy on cruises, which is a whole different, I'm sure, world.
A whole different animal, yeah.
Yeah. So how long ago did you start doing that?
I've done 4 or 5 of them now.
Okay.
Over the past, I think, 6 months.
Wow.
And
Sheesh.
yeah, but now they're about to kick in. Like once April hits, I'm doing 1 or 2 a month until December. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Hell yeah.
It's great. It's awesome. It's
Yeah.
like a dream. I can see where, people shit on cruise comics.
I never, no, fuck that.
People do. I just don't get it.
Once you're
because-
above that, I get above it, and you're doing, I guess once you're headlining theaters and fucking arenas and shit, I guess you can. But
Well, I think it's
for people like us, we're like, oh my God, wait, you got to go on vacation and do stand up and get paid for it. I mean, I don't know. It sounds like a
unbelievable.
dream to me.
But it's because the younger guys or girls, they look at it as like, well, I'm a serious comedian. I'm going to be a star. I'm going to play theaters. They all think they're going to be Bill
You're doing
or
theaters.
Nikki
You're doing
Glaser.
theaters on the ship.
Yeah.
Multiple theaters.
Right.
Every
Yeah.
night. Yeah, that's wild.
But it's like, it is. It's amazing. I was in the pool, and there's a guy in the pool with me, and there's
That's what I'm interested in is the stuff besides the show, like your other day-to-day activities, what's going on, and you're allowed to.
It's awesome.
You're allowed
You
to.
can do
You
everything.
told me you're allowed to fraternize. You're allowed to just do everything on the ship. What are you restricted from? And you're not supposed to.
You're not supposed. You can't hook up with the
fraternize or-
guests.
yeah.
You can't do that.
Okay,
So like,
but you're not like the crew of the ship that has to stay under deck the whole time.
You don't have to, but it's there if you want to.
Yeah. Okay.
Like.
And is that a whole other world too? Because I used to work at a hotel down in Miami, and there was like a basement level where they had like a full-time 24/7 cafeteria. I'm sure they had it there where you can get food, all the different sandwiches and stuff, whatever food. And it was just like almost like the back of house of the kitchen. Everybody talking shit and just
it's
just
like
grungy.
It's grungy white. You look like you're in the battleship. I imagine.
Yeah.
And everybody's walking around down there, and it's great. But I would use that to go to and from. Some of the comics use all the back channels. Like they're at the point where they don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
I've been doing it so little that I still it's like being a celebrity for a week.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You're stuck on board with people that have been seeing you. And
And they come up to you. They tell you how much they like you.
It's like doing the main room at Helium Comedy Club, and for the next week, all those people that were in there are just also right there the whole time,
stuck living with you.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Wild.
Yeah. So some of these guys that I've worked with, they'll take the back channels. Like there's secret elevators all over the place, and they'll only go that way. But I like walking around. I like having people come up to me. I like talking to people. And I also like promoting the shows while I'm on there.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like,
hell yeah.
If I'm in the elevator, not on Princess, but on Carnival, you have to wear a name tag, and it says like Todd Parker, guest entertainer, Atlanta.
That's pretty cool.
So, I don't know how cool it is, but people,
again, to us, I don't know about you. To me, that's cool as fuck.
So if people in the elevator are talking
trash.
about what they're going to do, I'll say, you should go to the comedy show. The comedy show is supposed to be really good. And they go, oh, really? What time? And I go, well, there's one at 7, there's one at 10. And then they'll look at, they go, oh, wait, are you? And I go, yeah.
I love the nonchalant.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was in the pool. And on the top deck by the pool and all this other stuff, there's a giant screen, like I don't know even how big it is, and it's showing things that are going on in the boat that day, right? So then it'll show like my headshot and the other comics' headshots, and it'll say tonight at 8:30, Todd Parker, blah blah blah. So this guy's in the pool next to me, and he looks at it, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Is that you?" And I said, "Yeah, that's me." And he goes, "Can I ask you a question?" And I said, yeah, sure. What? He goes, do you get like a discounted ticket?
You're like working part of this off. You go,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I laughed. I went, no, I looked around. I went, they pay me. He's like, wait, they pay you?
Dude, to like an avid cruise goer, I can't even imagine telling them that. Yeah, like
Right.
they're paying. This is like the highlight of their life.
There's a weird subculture of those people.
Oh my God, I know. Yeah, my grandma was one of them.
They keep track. They have these different levels like bronze, gold, diamond.
Yeah, my uncle
of
is,
how many cruises you do each year. and they get preference for certain things, and they brag about it.
Yeah.
But more power to them. I don't know. It's fun, and the shows, for the most part, the shows are great. Like Princess was mostly older people, which surprisingly was fine with me.
What's Princess?
Do you kind of know?
Princess is a cruise line.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Princess and
I thought it was
Carnival,
one of the ships.
Norwegian, Celebrity, Royal Caribbean.
And do they explain the expected clientele before you go on, or do you do your own research?
They give me
Because I think because people know when you list off different like cruise companies, there's a lot of stereotypes and a lot of people know different cruise lines and kind of what people they attract.
Yeah. Oh no, we get emails listing the things we can't do or say. And especially if something's going on in the news, like even if it's like the Super Bowl.
So if you're doing like the Carnival cruises, they say no N-words, no
N-words. They don't even have to say that.
Okay, all right.
They'll just if it's PG-13 or if it's like R.
yeah,
it's
an older
taken
crowd.
For granted. Well, on the R shows, you can say whatever you want. You can't say the N-word. You can't talk race, and they prefer you don't talk religion. But what, did you drop some F-bombs, N-bombs
No,
recently?
he just hates when I get
No,
like this.
he's making a joke because Carnival's all black people.
Whoa.
No, it's not.
No, I mean you shouldn't say the N-word on any cruises. Why are you? What
No.
Whoa.
No.
Oh,
there.
right over my head. I missed it.
Yeah, Carnival's, kind of, I think, known for being the party ships.
That hasn't been my experience.
Okay.
I've done 3 carnivals, and one of them was like that, the Christmas one.
Oh, I'm thinking
was-
Carnival in Brazil. That's my. I'm sorry. I was thinking Carnival in Brazil. That was another terrible joke. Okay, all right. We'll cut this whole part out.
Yeah, maybe that is a good
No,
idea.
so they send you like a list of some
things
stuff you're not
talk
supposed
about.
to say.
Like before the election, to get this long email.
Okay,
Do
yeah, that
not
makes
talk
sense.
politics.
Yeah.
Do not engage in politics with any
people
other
you're stuck
crew
on a
members,
boat with
which
for
is
a
hard
week.
because the day I was on the ship the week of the election.
Yeah.
And the day after, all of a sudden, everybody had all this Trump gear.
Lord.
Everybody's wearing like hats and shirts.
Like they brought it with them?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah. The rednecks on a
But
cruise ship.
we're instructed not to talk to them about that. But I've worked with some really funny guys on these boats. Like, there's been a couple that I thought, okay. But most of them, there's this guy named Ronnie Bullard. Oh, wait, you're Facebook friends with him. I saw that.
Yeah.
This guy's a machine.
Really?
This guy is rapid fire. I don't usually get worried about following people, and I get hardly offended the other night when you did that. I'll explain in a second. So, like, because I've gone after like Seinfeld, I've gone after Bill, I've gone after all these people,
But you've never gone after Dedrick Flynn. You have no
I
idea.
hadn't. I didn't know what was. Yeah. So I was like, what? He's like, I booked a guest spot after him. Don't worry. And I'm like, what? Who's worried? What are you talking about?
But you were worried about following Ronnie Bullard.
Yeah.
So there is a comic.
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't know.
Well, it never occurred
He's
that
not
I
invincible.
didn't have to follow him.
Yeah.
But we were on different nights. It didn't
Okay.
work out that the two of us were on the same show. I don't think. Anyway, he is just, I mean, like bang, 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 like rapid fire. He was like a Southern Don Gavin, that guy I mentioned earlier. And oh yeah, I have a funny Don Gavin story for you. I hope it's funny to you because you don't know him. But
I don't know.
so the first weekend that I was getting paid at Nick's Comedy Stop, the first weekend I was doing, there was some kind of mess up, and in the newspaper back then in the entertainment section, like on Thursday, they would put down who's playing at each club, and the Nick's Comedy Stop ad would have a photo of the headliner, and instead of Don Gavin, who was headlining his, I was just opening, I was just supposed to be hosting, Oh no, I'm sorry. I have to set something up completely different for that. They put my headshot in, and Mike Clark, who is Lenny Clark's brother, who owns the Giggles Comedy Club place, called me and said, "Dude, how did your picture get in there instead of Gavin's on his night?"
Oh no.
And I said, he's a dinosaur. It's time for some young blood, So the way it worked on nights where guys like Gavin would work is they would host, but they would do like just a few minutes up front, and they'd bring up like a guy to do 30, and that would have been me, and then they would go back up and do 45.
Okay.
So when it was their show, like their name's on the marquee.
Yeah.
So, and this was that. It was his show with my headshot. So when I walked in that night, he came up to me and he said, dinosaur? You think I'm a fucking dinosaur? Mike called him and snitched me out, right? And I went, oh, I was just kidding around. And he goes, you're not going to have a good set tonight. I can just tell. And he walked away. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So instead of doing the 5 and bringing me up, he did like 50. And in that 50, he did about 50 minutes.
50, okay.
And in that 50 minutes, he probably did about an hour and a half's worth of material. Like he normally is bang, bang, bang. This was like a fucking Puff the Magic Dragon machine gun compared to what he would normally do. And I got up there, and he didn't even give me a great intro. Like he didn't he just said,
right.
Okay, bring up the first guy, Todd Parker,
this
come on
next
up.
guy.
Just like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I was like flop sweat. I came off stage looking like I just got out of a pool. I was sweating so much. Couldn't buy a laugh.
You said he was supposed to do how much time?
5.
And he did 50?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, it's his show,
It's
but
his
normally
show.
he would do it
It's
after.
his show.
Yeah.
He was making a point
Yeah.
because I insulted him.
It's almost like if it was like a Joe Rogan and Friends.
Yeah.
Rogan comes out, does a couple minutes,
Exactly.
let everybody know, I'm
Exactly.
here, we're here, now this is my buddy, and then I'll come back later to
Yeah,
do it.
exactly. So he just wanted to
So he gave his
let me know
audience
who
everything
was
they
boss.
wanted, and then like whatever scraps were left. And like, yeah, go ahead, Todd. See if you can.
Right.
Yeah.
And after I did my 30, he still did like another half hour. Literally, like the guy's a machine.
Yeah.
And I went up to him afterwards and I went, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
I'll never do it
I got
again.
down on my knees and I went, I promise. And he goes, get up here. You're a good kid.
Yeah.
And to his credit, he never mentioned it again.
That's like when I first started comedy, you know Cat's Cafe? I don't know if you know it very well. Yeah, Cat's very historic, very big. It's in the black comedy scene. Like it's the mecca. It's the greatest. Incredible crowds, incredible comedians. Everybody, I mean, when Chappelle comes, he does that show. Anybody that comes through town does it. It's called Cat's Cafe. And it's hard to get on. You can go there. You're supposed to go there just 30 times, and hopefully after the 30th time, they might give you a couple minutes. Anyway, I go there. I'm like a year into comedy. I go there with this other buddy of mine. I just met him, sort of. There's this guy, and we get there. And I'm like, all right, man, let's play it cool. Let's figure out, who runs the show, whatever. I think it was Maury Sims at the time or whatever. And the guy I'm with, he was just an idiot and just, so he goes to Maurice or whoever's running the show. He's like, hey, so me and my buddy Matt, we're here and we're going to do some time up there. All right, so just let us know when it's our time. And the guy's like, oh, that's not really the way it works here. Like, you kind of have to earn. He's like, no. The guy with my buddy, he's like, no, we're good. Don't worry. Like, just give us the time. You know the deal. Or whatever. And I'm just staring there, just mortified because I know who this guy's a legendary show producer, show runner. I'm just like, I'm not with. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, cool, got you. And I'm just like, what the fuck is gonna happen? And so the guy that goes on stage and hosts it does an amazing 15 minutes. He goes, all right, this next guy, this fucking white boy, said he's got something. Let's see. Wasn't even the guy. Okay, so the guy I was with was a black guy. That's worth pointing out. The guy who was talking all this shit. So he goes, this white boy, let's go. Points at me, doesn't say my name. Just let's go. Let's see what you got. And I was a year into comedy, so it's just gay shit, or just like, so I was blowing a guy, and they oh my god, I got booed so hard at that. It was just the wildest. Like, it's like, motherfucker, this was not me. I didn't do any of this. Like, so I just thought it was hilarious.
It had nothing to do with it.
I was just he just pointed me out.
That place could be a blast.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
No, I did it one other time after that. A couple years later, that was amazing.
I was there one time and I was having a great set. I was having a lot of fun. And there's this area up, the area to the right.
Yeah.
It's not lit as well. It's very dark.
Yeah.
And some guy yelled, you fucking funny, man. And I went, thanks a lot, dude. And I did not mean this in any other way. I just went, where are you? I can barely see you.
Oh, no.
But I swear to God.
Oh, no.
I did not mean it like that. I genuinely could not see the guy.
But you meant it when you told him to smile, so you could see him, right?
I didn't say smile. I didn't say smile. I said,
yeah.
But when I said that, a girl over here goes, oh, no, you did not say that. And I went,
there are so many.
It wasn't until she yelled that I even
that you
realized.
realized.
I went, oh shit, no. And when I said, oh shit, a couple of people started laughing, but she was just not happy. And it made me really self-conscious, thinking, oh, maybe I did fuck up. And then I went outside, and I was like the only white guy that night.
Yeah.
It's all these black guys. And I went up to them, I went, guys, look, did I say something? Was that really bad? Like, I didn't mean. And this guy, I don't remember which guy it was, but he goes, man, just go up to her and say, bitch, get off my dick. And I went, yeah, that ain't going to go well either. I'm not doing that.
All right.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But they were cool. They were great. They were like, dude, don't worry about it.
Yeah, you can do a lot of shit at clubs like that, but there's a few landmines. Obviously, words you're not supposed to say. They don't play the gay shit too much. If you do it funny enough, sure. But yeah, like it better be fucking hilarious if you're going to talk about gay stuff. And then, just certain other, obviously that one.
Yeah.
Don't,
There was a place back in Boston called Rolls in Mattapan. And it was same place, same kind of place. Just black, no whites at all. And my buddy Steve Bjork, really funny guy, he was there with Joe, and he's opening for Joe there. And he's just letting it get to him. He's never done it before. He's nervous. So he just kind of doesn't do well. And he introduces Joe, and Joe walks up on stage, and he looks around and he goes, now, keep in mind, this is 1990. Joe looks around and he goes, man, there's a lot of N-words in here. But he didn't say N-words. He just went, man, there's a lot of in here. And the place exploded. And he killed.
In laughter? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can see. Yeah,
It was the
obviously
confidence.
these days you can't. Yeah, it's the confidence. Because I've always thought about, because even when black comedians do like majority white rooms, like my winery show, it's all white people. It's a fucking winery in Ackworth. So it's so often that black comedians will come out, they're like, oh, a lot of white people in here, or I don't know, whatever. Oh.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted to go to like a black club, and like, wow, a lot of black people in here. Oh, just as a funny thing. And I think if you did it confident enough, you could get away with it. And they would fucking die laughing at it because they would get what you're talking about.
He didn't do it like in a nervous way.
Yeah.
He was just pointing it out like matter of factly. Like, wow, there's a lot of in here.
Right.
Yeah, and they loved it.
Yeah.
Confidence is key.
God.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy how, a lot of different stuff besides just the joke telling. Having the confidence, having the,
Absolutely.
bravado on stage. Hell yeah. We're about
how long do you guys go?
An hour and a half into this thing.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hour 40, actually. So we should have explained to this. Do
you want to do bits still?
Sort of. I think we should start. So this is the Show Me Your Bits podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Show Me Your Bits podcast. We have a special guest, Todd Parker, in the fucking house. We're so excited to have him.
We totally forgot to do the intro.
I was thinking about it earlier. It doesn't matter.
They've already seen it.
They see that the link says Todd Parker. They know who you are. But so it's Show Me Your Bits podcast. Basically, the premise of the podcast is the last couple minutes we do this. The whole premise of the podcast. You bring a brand new joke premise or just an idea, something you've never done on stage or only done a couple times. There's like a very rough idea. And we do is we just kind of go over it, I know. So me and Perry will start. What you got, Perry?
That reminded me of something, but I'll just move on. This is...
No, okay, well, say what you were going to say about this shit. Fuck it.
I've been trying to make bits out of this. I work with this dude that's so... can you make jokes about coworkers?
Absolutely.
Please.
Okay. This dude...
Does he come to your shows?
No.
Fuck him.
Okay.
Does he watch the Show Me Your Bits podcast?
Probably not.
Fuck him then. For real, fuck him.
He thinks that the apocalypse is coming soon, and the way he's preparing...
In like a religious way?
I don't know.
Okay.
With this, I don't know anything with this guy. The way he's preparing for the apocalypse is he's stocking up on vodka bottles in the trunk of his car. And I was like, when I have 2 wine bottles in my car, driving, you just hear them clanging together. Imagine driving day to day to and from work with 100 vodka bottles in your trunk.
Wait, that's the way you're going? Instead of why?
Oh, there's so many.
There's
There's so
angles.
many.
Yeah,
there's
I was
so
going
many.
to say.
But yeah, it's like not only
why
do you
is he
think
keeping in the car? Why is it? Yeah. Like,
I also think it's funny the idea of like a doomsday prepper who lives in a studio apartment who like doesn't have the space, but he's still trying to doomsday prep.
I love the idea of a doomsday prepper being thwarted by a rear end collision. He's like, "Fuck! That's my whole collection. It's all I had.
Yeah.
Goddamn fender bender.
All my
just
supplies
destroys his entire,
have been ransacked.
Right, all with flammable vodka bottles.
Well, yeah, it was the fact that he thinks that it's happening soon enough that he's preparing with his car, but also that's what he's stocking up on.
I don't have a problem. That I don't have a problem with. No, that I don't have a problem with. That's, I don't know. Just either drink yourself to death if it comes down to that, or just, I don't know.
That could be.
Alcohol's
He doesn't have a gun or a knife, or he doesn't want to do it that way. He just wants to leave in Las Vegas, kill himself with alcohol.
He lives in. Have you seen these places where they share? You have random roommates in like a big house, and you pay, and you just live in a room of that house.
Perry, it's called the Projects.
It's all furnished. No, it's a thing.
Have you guys seen this? I don't know. I went to my buddy's house. I was like, whoa, why do you have 8 people living here?
No, it's an app, and you specifically are renting a room with complete
like a
random
hostel kind of
and so the roommates are in and out, and you just have a room, and then the house is furnished by like a company.
Right.
But he lives in a room.
No, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, but it's
So
like
they share bathroom and like a living room. And,
Yeah. That's furnished by like a company.
Yeah, it's
I've
like
heard
a
of
hostel
apartments
hotel.
like that.
We need like hostels overseeing different like where you kind of either
Well,
rent
hostel's like a
little room
closet.
or like a bed.
Yeah.
Like there's like there's 2 bunk beds
Right.
and you rent one of the beds
Yeah.
for the night. Whatever.
This is like a corporation bought like a home and turned it into an apartment, basically. So
yeah,
like
where they
like
take like a 4-bedroom house and kind of separate it and or whatever they have to
Yes.
do to make it into like a 4-unit apartment.
Yeah.
I was picturing something.
So it's like it looks like a fucking house, but there's 4 different door
I
accesses.
was picturing
Yes.
a traditional
Yeah.
house, and then each room. I thought you meant each room. Like
No, that's what I
haven't
pictured
been
at
in
first too.
breakfast
But no, they
house.
take a traditional house and just kind of make it to where there's 4 different entrances for 4 different
Gotcha.
sections of
I've
the
never
house.
been to his house, but that's how he
explains it.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's so much stuff with like dudes that, like, I talked about this before, but like there's this guy that used to bring his like what's the subscription service where you get like a knife in the mail or whatever?
Oh yeah, the Tac Pack. Oh, the Tac Pack's the one I know, but
There's these subscription services, and every month they send you like, here's your survival kit for and it's like so funny. It's like a dude who lives in a studio apartment who just has like a collection of like machetes and just like survival gear, like. With nowhere to store it, and so then you go into this dude's like studio apartment and it's just like, what the fuck, there's equipment and cans and this is where you're preparing for the apocalypse in your 400 square foot third story apartment. Like, I don't know, I think that's so funny for some reason.
I used to, before we get to you, I used to not be to that extent, but I used to like get Soldier of Fortune magazine and read all that shit. And I just
What is that?
Soldier of Fortune, I don't know if they still make it. It's a magazine that like has articles about past battles, ways to protect yourself, things that are going on in the military now, that kind of thing. It's just for gun nuts, basically.
All right.
All the ads are guns. But I read this article about how to, if you're getting chased in your car, or if you're in a car chase and you have to drive through a field of grass, you should of tall grass, drive backwards so you protect the engine, stuff like that. If you're being chased and there's a waterway, always run through the water because you won't leave tracks, like shit like that. But one of them was get wooden matches and drip wax on them, so then they'll be waterproof. So I'm like doing this in my room when I'm living with my parents. I'm like, got these safety matches.
Shut up, Mom! I'm doing my prep work.
I know. Exactly.
You're gonna thank me one day, stupid bitch. Laugh now. You're not gonna have matches later.
I might be able to tie that into the apocalypse thing. There may be a way to do that somehow. Maybe.
Yeah.
You were doomsday prepping when you were like a kid. You were like,
I've been waiting for this.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I just want to be ready.
Right.
With matches, you dip them in wax, you said?
Yeah, you dip them in wax and then you let it dry. That way, like if it's raining or not, if it's raining, if they get wet, if you
it doesn't
get soaked, they still
ruin
work.
the
You just,
sulfur of the match.
how old
we used
were
to
you?
suck on matches in the
I was in
Army.
high school.
And you were just in your room, like melting wax and coating matches.
That wasn't the weirdest thing I was doing in there. But yeah, exactly.
We used to suck on matches when I was in the Army. It keeps bugs away, and it really does work because all the MREs, the little meal things,
lit matches
would come with no, just like
So how does
just
it
like
keep
an
bugs
unlit.
away?
It gets whatever the sulfur gets into your blood or your sweat. That's what they said, and it seemed to work. Maybe I'm right. We can look it up. I don't know, but yeah. So we would all just like suck on matches, just suck the sulfur off the tip of the match, and it would get
so
into
you sucked on that end.
Yeah. The part you light, the red part. Yeah.
Well, edit just that. You suck on that. I think the red part.
We already have footage of me pretending to how I used to drink out of straws when I was a child. I would leave the cup on the table, and my dad would get so mad because I would bring myself to the cup. That's how I was
Jesus
drinking.
Christ.
Instead of
No, but
my dad would get so pissed. Yeah, you'd say the F word.
You were saying it's not the weirdest thing you're doing in that room. It's so funny to think of like your mom checking and being like, "Oh my God, he's doomsday prepping again," and then she like catches you jacking off, and she's like, "Finally, thank God he's doing something
great.
normal."
Oh, I swear I'm just doomsday prepping.
That's great.
It's not what it looks
I'm
like.
sharpening my knives in here.
She's gonna be
My
like,
Bowie knife.
I'm dripping wax.
Dripping.
That's your euphemism for coming. Mom, I'm dripping wax.
That's so gross.
Oh, that's good.
Hell yeah. I like both those ideas. Mine's not anywhere near as thought out. But it hit me the other day, the idea of, and maybe you remember it. Do you remember Marlboro Miles? Like if you used to buy,
I was never a smoker. My parents were. But
my parents and grandparents were. And when you bought Marlboro cigarettes, any cigarettes made by Marlboro, there was a little thing on the side of it that was like a certain number of miles you would get per pack. Kind of like when you buy
Air miles.
No, Marlboro miles. I'll explain it in a second. You know, like when you buy the like little kid snacks and you could cut out the little things. You ever see that when you could cut out and send them to school with, and they would donate to the school? Never mind.
Oh, you mean out of like a cereal box?
Yeah. Remember those little points, and you would send it to your kid, and they would get. Anyway, so cigarettes had that basically. So you would cut up each little pack of cigarettes, and you would send in, you would mail in all your Marlboro miles that you get, and there was a catalog of different stuff you could buy from Marlboro or for these points. I remember my grandma had like these awesome, it was great products, sleeping bags, like little throw blankets, pillows, just all Marlboro branded. So I don't know. I think there's just different angles of going, especially if people remember. I'll have to try the bit a couple times to see if people actually remember it, Marlboro miles. Because if they remember it, they're going to definitely remember it. It's one of those that like people that remember it. And like my grandma used to keep like just bags and bags full of these fucking. She would smoke so much, and then she would get these fucking sleeping bags that would already come smelling like my grandma's house already, so it was great. They just would already smell like cigarettes.
So maybe the way to go, so it's encouraging people to smoke, so maybe the way to go is, so basically, we'll give you cancer, but you also get this.
You get a cool little prize at the end. Yeah. No, something like that, or like, just like, it was never stuff that like you should give smokers. It was all like outdoor activity stuff. Like, it was all weird. Like, it wasn't ever like good, like,
we'll
you know,
like
cancer,
but
throat lozenges.
Yeah,
or, like, they should give you like, you know, like air purifier, smoke lozenge, like a cancer kit. I don't know. Yeah. No,
cancer
it was
was
like
worth
outdoor,
the sleeping
like,
bag,
surfboards, and frisbees. And shit.
Didn't they have a leather jacket?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I bought one at a thrift store, and I hate that I fucking got rid of it. It had like a map,
dope as fuck,
on the inside of it. I found it at the thrift store for $10,
wow.
and
it says Marlboro on it.
Yeah, it has a Marlboro branded like zipper, and like it was so cool, and I lost it.
I wonder if
so maybe the idea of like I said, the things that they should have been giving to smokers, or maybe like just the incentive to smoke more, or like maybe if other companies did that, like if a liquor company sold or did liquor miles, but or the idea of like Marlboro miles versus plane miles. Like, nowadays we know like miles as far as like plane rides.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about.
Nice,
like I thought it was like how many miles worth of cigarettes you've like smoked, like lined up.
No, I want to say each pack. Yeah, it was a little thing because as a child, I remember like we talked about earlier, me making rosaries for my other my step grandma. Now for this actual grandma, it was my Mima. If anybody knows, she's been to a lot of comedy shows. She's infamous for smoking weed with comedians outside of shows. Yeah, she's awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
She's awesome. But yeah, she used to have us as children cutting up. She probably smoked 4 or 5 packs a day. Shit. Just chain smoking in the house while she was babysitting me and all my brothers and cousins. Like we all grew up in that house together.
Wow.
And, the secondhand smoke, but cool sleeping bags.
I wonder. My dad always used to wear these Marlboro T-shirts. I wonder if that's where he got them.
Possibly. Yeah. I'd have to look. I need to look more into it to kind of get more references for the joke. Like I said, if enough people remember it, I just think it was a crazy program that they did.
Well, when did that stop?
I'd say early 2000s, maybe late 90s. It was definitely in the 90s that it was going on. So yeah, I'll have to do a little bit more research into it. But yeah, just the funny idea of rewarding someone for smoking more and more.
Right. That's clearly the way to go.
Yeah.
I feel like if you equated it to like Sky Miles, if you tied it into something like modern, then people get the cigarette thing, and then you can make the comparisons or whatever. You know what I mean? Because if you're just like, and I am probably wrong, but if you're just like, hey, Marlboro Miles, and people are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, like I said, you get a few people that would remember it, but you need to, that's the thing about jokes with those kind of, premises and stuff. You kind of have to explain to some of the audience, all right, let's give a little groundwork. And some jokes I find just aren't worth, like there's certain bits I've wanted to do, but the lead up and the explanation of the premise was too much to make it,
Right.
Sometimes you have to lay too much groundwork
That's
for
the
it to
story
be fun.
of my life.
Yeah, well, it's every time you have a friend or family, you're like, oh, you should use this as a bit. You should use this as like in your little skits. It's like, what am I going to explain that I was at a family reunion, my dad came up, my cousin, what am I going to explain all this fucking groundwork?
What was it that you would cut out? Was it a little logo?
No, it was on the side of it was like literally it said 5 Marlboro miles. Like literally, like I said, when you would buy the little cereal boxes or stuff, remember those top you would cut out, and that would like however many points that item was, and you'd collect all those in a sandwich bag, or my grandma fucking garbage bags full of tiny little clippings and she would have garbage bags full of them and send them in.
Wow.
And they would just send you.
So it was a successful
gear.
promotion. It worked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well,
definitely.
not. I mean, successful in the
And
sense of
killing
it.
my grandma. Yeah,
Sold
it
a
was
lot of
successful.
cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yes, not successful in a human.
Yeah, maybe
sense.
you could get a
Sadistic.
statistic of how many people died doing this.
I think a lot of people die from smoking every year. I think we know.
Yeah, but like how much researching like how that promotion increased sales and by what percentage.
yeah,
so like
yeah,
you could
yeah,
actually
for sure.
map it out. Say so 300,000 people died.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of really nice sleeping bags. And
It's true. It's true.
They buried him in those
the sleeping bag. Yeah, right. So
Sleeping-
convenient. So convenient. You can just keep grandma right where she is.
sleeping
Right.
bag casket.
Just throw her right in.
I'm such an idiot. I thought it
No,
was.
that's a good idea, actually. The casket idea. Because I want to think things you should sell smokers,
Right.
And that might be like the rule of three, kind of the
Caskets.
first two, like air purifier,
Oxygen
ashtray, casket.
Yeah.
Yeah, something. Yeah, there you go.
I'm such an idiot. When I heard Marlboro Miles, I thought it was literally like the length of a cigarette.
funny,
How
yeah.
many you've smoked to reach a mile? I don't know why. That doesn't make any sense. But
So you were thinking like Hands Across the World. Remember that? But with
Yeah,
cigarettes.
yeah. Or Elvis albums. That was
Yeah, I
a big
wonder if you
hit.
lined up every cigarette front to back that my Mima has smoked in her life.
Would it circle the
You'd
world
get to
twice?
fucking Ukraine or something. I don't know.
There's definitely something there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. How much? So what is a cigarette? Is what, 4 inches?
Yeah, it's about
3 inches?
4/5 of my penis.
cigarette looks like about 12 inches to me. And whenever
Right.
Yeah, my dick.
I think it's big enough. If I'm saying how big a cigarette is, big enough. It'll do.
Big enough.
Actually, quite average, if you ask me. All right. Anyways, that's.
This was fun.
But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please like, subscribe, comment, all that shit. Please follow Todd Parker. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not.
I'm sorry.
I'll show you the size of
Not
my
only did I
SD
just
card.
butcher that. I'm sorry.
I'll show you the size of my
this is
SD
not a
card when we're done.
professional.
Yeah, no, go ahead. I won't talk. You could do your professional.
Anyways,
Just keep going.
I think the questionnaire is funny for camera, but yeah, it's already too late. in the
So where were
podcast.
you
We'll do it
born?
another day,
No, okay.
right? Yeah, starting now. Perry, what you got coming up? Nothing. Perry helps host the Alley Stage every Tuesday night. It's a fun as fuck, and he's awesome. He's doing
Thanks.
some of the shows.
Yeah, check out the Show Me Your Bits podcast on YouTube.
Do it. Stop
No, I
watching
don't.
this and go check out that right now. No, the only reason I was doing this plugs is for fucking Todd Parker's got a lot of cool stuff. He's got a book called Boogeymen Billionaires. Billionaire Boogeymen.
Billionaire boogeyman.
Billionaire Boogeyman.
Nobody gets it right.
I did my research. Oh, okay. Well, me and Bill Burr both fucked up. So
I know,
there we go.
I know.
Perfect.
What are you going to do?
Well, yeah. Follow Todd Parker Comic on Instagram.
Thank
Barry
you.
Benton Comedy on Instagram. At Tamburino. Like I said, Billionaire Boogeymen.
Well done.
Buy the book. It's fucking great. I haven't read it, but
You
I
can
heard it was
get
good.
to it on Amazon or billionaireboogeymen.com.
There you go. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure.